Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/OffMyChest. And as per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Inevitable Design 22. I trusted my coworker, so I didn't think to check my food. A coworker invited me to a lunch and learn event where suppliers present their products and buy us food. She had invited me before and even asked them to provide a vegan option for me. That time, they got pizza, and she gave it to me. After lunch, she messaged me on Teams to ask if I liked it and if I felt full. I thought that was kind of sweet until she laughed and told me it was real cheese, and she knew it was real the whole time. What makes this weirder is that we've been having lunch together for over a year now, along with a group of colleagues playing Uno, going out for lunch, just regular coworker stuff. I trusted her. So I didn't double check the ingredients like I usually do, and the cheese was tasteless, just like most vegan stuff usually is. Like, what? I mean, the world won't end if I accidentally eat cheese, but this just makes me wonder, was she trying to catch me? Get a reaction? Mess with me for fun? I don't know. I laughed it off in the moment, but yeah, I don't think I want to share lunch with her again. I'd rather just distance myself quietly without making a big deal out of it, just in case she might be brewing something in her head. OP's coworker is extremely lucky that OP was vegan by choice and not vegan due to allergies. I've met plenty of people who are vegan because of dairy allergies, and I'm not talking about lactose intolerance, I mean actually being allergic to dairy. Not no longer having the bacterial microbe colonies to digest lactose, but actually being allergic to dairy itself. I mean, hell, that's not even covering Lyme disease or any other kind of allergy that could be associated with going vegan for that reason. I did stumble upon a common thread where OP kind of delves a little bit deeper into some of their coworkers', let's just say behaviors in the workplace, where they definitely seem to have almost a mean girl mentality where they enjoy cruelly exercising power above their coworkers. So let's look at that real quick. Regi2312 comments, I'm a famous vegetable hater among my friends. Sorry, I just hate the taste. And even I know to respect my vegan friends' preference. I tried to make vegan food for them, a ton of research with that meal, went to eat with them, they ate my vegetables for me, which was awesome, and looked for local vegan dishes that they might like. It's so sad that one of the non-vegans would be such an asshole and treat you like that. You don't have to, but it would be great if you can tell that person that such action is unacceptable, even as a joke. Sometimes people need to be educated, otherwise they won't change. Inevitable Design 22 comments, by late 20s, it's not the time to give up on people, but I'm starting to think some people never really learn. Looking back, I can see there were signs before. One time, we were having lunch and my other colleague, let's call her H, took a single grape from my coworker's plastic box. The same coworker who messed with my food yesterday. Let's call her V. People share food all the time, so I didn't think much of it. But V turned to H, gave her a cold stare, and asked, "Did I give you permission to take my food?" H almost choked on that single grape and awkwardly moved to spit it out, like she wanted to return it. Only then did V laugh, saying that she was just joking and offered us her food. But what was the joke? It wasn't funny. It was just a way to make H feel small. And then there was another time. Last year our company had a major round of layoffs due to the boycott of American products in the Middle East. We were spared, but V started teasing H about being next, repeatedly saying, "H, you're fired!" like it was some kind of joke. H tried to brush it off, saying only the manager could fire her, not V, but V kept insisting. Eventually, we left the group chat and I told H she handled it well. Later, V came to H with what seemed like a sincere apology. V is tall and attractive, while H is short and chubby, but genuinely a lovely person. And somehow, I was the one who brought them into the same friend group. I'm glad H has since found a better job in another state away from whatever strange power dynamic was at play between them. And now, with H gone, it feels like V has turned on me instead. Like she needs someone to exercise her twisted sense of control over. XRiverfish4575 comments, "Until this coworker is reported and reprimanded, nothing will change. What she did to you was illegal and should be reported. She's a bully, one who needs to be dealt with by HR. She's going to get worse now that you're her target. Do you really want to have to find another job because of her? Because that's what it will eventually come to. Either she gets her act together or you're eventually going to resent her so much you won't want to go to work." Honestly, to me, it sounds like the OP is dealing with a coworker that likes fucking with people and doesn't really understand where boundaries start and stop and will go to whatever extremes she feels are, well, warranted or would be the most funny or comical. So OP probably should report their coworker, or at least just start ignoring them, because it's clear that OP's coworker just wants to get a rise out of people, and really just seems to enjoy getting reactions out of people. But now, I pass the question off to you. How does this story make you feel with the idea of a coworker tampering with your food or lying to you about its contents? Or perhaps you might have a story you want to share. I don't know, I like reading through your comments and seeing what everyone thinks and their opinions on things. Because while I can't respond to all 200 plus comments that normally appear on a video, I do try to read all of them. Opening Cranberry 25. I confronted my husband about housework and he left me, and I couldn't be happier. After years and years of fighting about housework, I gave my husband an ultimatum. Get his act together, or leave. And he left. I was not expecting that, but he said it was clear I didn't respect him, and he could never be with a woman who didn't respect him. He moved into the spare room for a few months and then moved in with another woman. The speed with which that happened suggests the other woman was not a new thing, although he maintains that they were just friends prior to our separation. Apparently, she made a move as soon as he was free, or at least that's his story. My reaction? Whatever. When I met his new girlfriend, rather than feeling resentful or jealous, I wanted to hug her and thank her for taking him off my hands. Also, she's very pretty, which people seem to think should make me feel worse, but actually makes me feel better. A part of me is like, at least I kept up for a while, despite the competition. The property settlement is a bit more tense. I have been the primary income earner and caregiver throughout the relationship, and I will continue to have primary care of the kids. He, nonetheless, asked for half of everything, citing his future needs and all. I don't know whether he was expecting me to fight or get angry, but I just agreed. Put the house on the market and sold the shares to give him half. And we're working through some other stuff, mainly because of the legal complexity rather than the apportionment. I have moved into a 3-bedroom apartment with the kids, with a dog park down the block. No pool, no yard, food on the doorstep, and no need for a car. The kids and I have to enjoy being together, and without Dad around, we can do our own thing. It's wonderful. I feel so guilty for feeling so good. He is the only man who I have ever dated, the only man I have ever kissed, and after so many years of marriage, good times and bad, and our beautiful children, I keep thinking I should be hurt, I should be crying or screaming, or at least feel bad, but I actually feel relieved. Nothing but relieved. Well, I do feel bad for the kids. Divorced parents are not ideal, and I have to deal with some passing guilt about that, but not enough to change my mind that this is the right decision. I know my reaction seems strange. Maybe there is something wrong with me, or maybe I was just never invested enough in this relationship to begin with. Maybe I don't really know how to love. But at least I now finally know happiness, and that's a wonderful thing. I actually know this exact feeling, and it comes from the fact that you've already processed the relationship being ended at some point in the relationship. Like, you had already processed that what you wanted from the relationship just wasn't happening, and you were just putting up with it for the sake of maybe it could happen. But you weren't happy. I mean, I've been in this boat. There was a time where I had an ex when she was finally moving out and things were looking good. I was over the goddamn mood. I thought I was going to be miserable, but I was deep cleaning the house. I was pretty much repainting walls, repainting baseboards. I was replacing panels of the floor that were broken or damaged. I was doing so much, and I was fucking like skipping around and listening to music and having the best time ever. And it just felt like I was solidly just starting a brand new chapter of my life, and it felt great. So it's because of that I don't blame OP at all for feeling happy that things are over. I also entirely understand feeling sympathy for the person your ex is getting with, because it's like, damn, you have no fucking idea what you're in for, do you? Like, I totally get it. It's just the feeling of like finally after all of this time just being free and being able to walk away from it. And, you know, it's just like, cool, I get to just be myself now, and I don't have to worry about any of this. Now, on an ending note, to, I guess, put OP's mind at ease, I grew up with my parents splitting up when I was 4. I grew up in a household where they were constantly fighting and constantly at each other's throats, and it was just exhausting, even as a 4-year-old. And kids can pick up when their parents aren't happy with each other, and when that resentment builds and grows, and even though it feels like you're making a selfish decision, in the end, as they grow, they'll understand. There might be some rough patches here and there and a lot of questions you'll have to answer, and it's probably going to be a bit tricky to explain to them that your father and I just weren't happy together. But because you ended things without anger and so amicably, your kids are going to remember that. In a good way. For me, I see my parents' divorce as being almost a necessity for them to have been happy and actually live lives that they could be proud of. Now, a question that I have that might be opening a closet door some of you may have wanted to keep shut. For those of you who did have their parents get divorced, but after they moved out, did you feel guilty? Like they stayed together for you? Like, do you hold on to that? Or do you just kind of see it as they made that choice to do this for me and I appreciate it? I do have that genuine question just because I can't comprehend or understand what it would be like to be in that position. So I figured that I would ask. So if you are willing to answer, it would definitely be appreciated. Icy Thoughts 6120. My girlfriend of 4 years left her journal in my car. Found out she's in love with someone else. She doesn't have a car and uses mine some days for work. Last week when I got in, I saw it on the floor. I thought it was just a work notebook, but when I opened it, I saw it was a personal journal. I told myself that I wasn't going to read it. That's both extremely fucked up and a huge betrayal of trust. But curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to crack it open later that day. Most of it was detailing her struggles with mental health of body dysmorphia. It was a pretty intimate look into her psyche, which again, I know is pretty fucked up for me to read. What got me, though, was how she said several times in her journal about wanting to be single. I'm willing to shrug that off as her just expressing feelings and working through some stuff. That is until I saw a love poem to someone else and an entry about being devastated that this person got married. In that same entry, she wrote about how this person was supposed to leave their partner for her, how it should have been her he married, and finally, if I get the chance to cheat with him again, I will. I have to. My stomach has been in knots ever since seeing that. This is a person who I'm in love with, who I share a life with. I've spent the last months looking at rings and warming up to the idea of finally proposing, and now I see that she's hopelessly in love with someone else, that she's cheated, willing to cheat again, and would rather be single. She wrote, "I'm in a relationship with someone I like but don't love," which makes me wonder why the fuck she hasn't ripped the band-aid off. Really don't know what to do here. I betrayed her trust by peeping in on private thoughts, but I feel like her betrayal is much worse. I don't know the proper way to bring this up. Edit, Christ, why would I make something like this up? Part of me almost wonders if she left her journal in the car on purpose because she wanted it to be found. Something that personal just feels weird to be carelessly left in the car. I won't really comment on whether or not he was in the right or wrong to read it because that is definitely a touchy subject and, no matter what, an invasion of privacy. But with the information that he learned, as heartbreaking as it is, I think honestly what he has to do at this point is just put the journal back where he found it and end things with her. Don't tell her why, just simply call it quits. Let her be free. Give her the chance to live on her own and actually be single as she wants to. I'm honestly unsure if confronting her is the right choice on the contents of the journal, and I don't know the proper way to handle a situation like this. I don't know, if you found yourself in this position, how would you go about it? Because this is definitely not a fun thing to uncover, and on one hand, yes, it's an invasion of privacy, but on the other, at least he's not going to propose to someone and spend his life with someone who actually doesn't love him the way that he loves his significant other. There's definitely a lot of gray areas and gray zones with how OP went about this, and I honestly have no idea what the right course of action here is. I should also firmly state that the idea that she left the journal behind for it to be found on purpose is 100% a tinfoil hat theory, so I'm not saying that is as matter of fact what had happened. It's just a thought or an explanation that maybe she wanted him to find it, to have it be an easier way for the relationship to end. I don't know. But again, I'd be really curious to hear what your thoughts are. One very generic user. Today I asked my former friend why the group ostracized me. In 2022, I made some friends, after 25 years of struggling socially. I was bullied in my childhood and teenage years for being ugly, so I missed out on a lot of social development, which got in the way of connecting with people. This was the first time in my life that I had a friend group. In the beginning of 2024, I first recognized that they were doing things without me. I brought it up and we talked about it. At that time, I simply thought that they sometimes forgot me due to being in a volunteer organization together, which I am not a part of. I cannot join their organization due to other reasons. That's also what they told me. After we talked, things got a bit better. Then, in the later summer, I realized it was happening again. I would go on social media, see them all together, and no one had asked me to join. I tried reaching out, suggesting activities and inviting them, and at times, I barely got a reply. During the summer, their volunteer group had a summer break, so I knew it couldn't be why I was left out again. I finally cracked and sent them a longer message to our group chat about how hurtful this experience was and that I felt humiliated for having to ask my friends to include me. We had more in-depth talks and things got better again. I thought this time things were fine for good. With the new year, I realized the same experience is now repeating itself. It was just like last summer. It started when I suggested a game night, and after our plans fell through, they had a game night a few days later. Without me. Oftentimes, I would reach out, ask to do something, and barely receive a response. Then, I would see them hanging out together on Snapchat or Instagram. I tried to accept that things change. I tried to take it easy and be okay with it. I tried to show up when I was invited, which was only when other extended friends were invited too. And be good company. Still, I continued to see them doing things without me, and it continued to hurt me so deeply. Not like it was a secret either. They posted about their activities, and when I would ask them how the activity was, they would just happily say that it was amazing. This morning, I once again saw their story post on Instagram. This time they had a Galentine's thing together. This was extremely rough because last year they also had one without me, and it was one of the exclusion incidences that we talked about together. Seeing that they repeated the exact same event felt like someone had just ripped apart my entire chest. It was the ultimate evidence that they truly don't care. I decided to reach out to the former friend from the group whom I could previously best talk to. I decided to message her and let her know that I no longer expect to be included and that I'm not asking for an apology or for things to change. I told her that based on these experiences, it appears fairly obvious that I have no longer a space in the group. I asked her to just please tell me what resulted in me being excluded so that I can take a learning from it and move on in peace. She has since saved the message and saved it to the chat, but has not replied yet. I take this as that she's thinking over what to tell me. I don't even feel anxious, I just feel empty, and I wish I could be someone else. Sadly, making friends is something that a lot of people in my generation and millennials and probably soon to be Gen Alpha is something that people really struggle with because we're so disconnected and isolated. I mean, hell, I was someone that was, jostled around from school to school growing up. And I pretty much always struggled to find an actual friend group that I felt I belonged in. You gotta find a group of people that like you for you and don't just kind of tolerate your existence because they pity you. There are gonna be people like that, unfortunately, and you can't control or you can't fix that because you'll come off as being desperate or needy or clingy. And I'm saying this as someone who's been in that boat. The other problem is I got no idea what a good way for someone to find female friends would be. I just have no experience in that category. So if anyone in the comment section would like to give recommendations or that kind of stuff, and same goes for, guys finding guy friends and girls finding girlfriends and that kind of stuff. It's something that's kind of a generational issue where there's a lot of loneliness within more of the newer generations because of just the isolation the internet causes, and I'm sure a lot of people would genuinely really enjoy having some advice they could go by for possibly feeling a bit less lonely from day to day. And this is different for everyone, of course, but for me, I stopped trying to be someone that I thought people would like and just started being, well, me. And that worked out pretty a-okay. Granted, I've been in the middle of self-isolation because I've been working on the Vault channel, main channel, and trying to get the gaming channel spun up, but that's another story. Alive Safety 9490. Dad left mom for lifelong family friend, and I don't want her stuff at the family cabin. When I was young, middle school, my dad bought a winter cabin that my family spent every Christmas at for close to 15 years. Growing up was hard. Both my parents were pretty critical of us, and it was always better at the cabin. My dad loved the recreation, and my mom loved Christmas. They both eased up, and most of my best childhood memories are here. My parents had the same tight-knit friend group since before I was born. They spent a lot of summers and family vacations together. We were closer than actual family, and I knew my dad's affair partner really well and for all of my life. About 10 years ago, I'm 37, it came out that my dad was having an affair. Her husband was dying of frontal lobe dementia, and I guess it happened while he was helping her with grief and care. The family friend was always a bit of a troll and walked around during the secret years of the affair saying how much she needed a rich boyfriend to take care of her. Part of the betrayal is the fact that it feels like she just wanted him for his money. A double whammy when your millennials are younger. My family's last Christmas at the cabin, the family friend came. Because her husband had just passed away, we all felt bad for them. My dad gave her and my mom Le Creuset, fancy Dutch oven, something my mom had wanted for years. We probably should have known something was up because it was always too expensive when my mom wanted one. But suddenly when he could buy two? Well, should have seen it, I guess. Anyway, after the affair came out, that Christmas just felt like a massive betrayal. I tried to move on, I stopped talking to my dad, I focused on my career and got married. And as long as I'm not thinking about it, I only notice the hole where my dad is. Not the feeling like this is a nightmare I can't wake up from. I slowly started talking to my dad because I thought my feelings were easing up. He invited me to spend a week up at the cabin, and I truly thought I could handle it. But I get here, and the family friend's fingerprints are all over this place. Baskets of shit, her grandkids' drawings, her fucking weird thing with puzzles, and the crowning jewel of infuriation, that Le Creuset from the horrible Christmas. I'm right back in the nightmare. He makes it sound like he goes up here all alone all the time, but she clearly fucking decorates and changed a bunch of shit. I feel so disrespectful and vengeful. My dad never protected us from how fucked up it would feel to swap our mom for a different mother figure. I know we're adults, but the fact of who it is and what this place meant for us makes it so unfair. This crap shouldn't be here. She shouldn't be here. This isn't her place, it's ours. It's his kid's place. I didn't know seeing it like this would put me right back here. Edit, there is a will, he's leaving the cabin to his kids. Edit. I'm not reading anything about how it's my dad's cabin. A, I'm very obviously not talking about property rights. B, he has disclosed this part of the will to his kids, I think in part to bribe us to come back and spend time. Edit X3. Weird that this is coming up, but I've been in therapy since the affair broke. There were some family deaths and illnesses that had a compounding effect, and I really needed the support for a long time. Not that I need to prove this to people on the internet, but I actually get pretty close to a clean bill of health now. You guys know that having feelings about things like injustice and betrayal is actually healthy, right? Are you guys okay? Thoughts and prayers to everyone whose therapist apparently lobotomized them. Thanks for the support, everyone. I needed some pick-me-up and laughs to cope with this. I feel like the stars are telling me it's time to get a LaCroix. Is this an ad for a Dutch oven? Like, minus the fact he keeps spelling it wrong, but this is the first time I've heard of this brand. I knew what a Dutch oven was, but like, this is, I don't know. I'm getting weird vibes from this. Maybe it's just because the brand is extremely expensive, so it stands out more. But I don't know. That editing line there kind of feels weird. It also doesn't help that all the comments are also weirdly centered around the Dutch oven as well. But I suppose it is a central part of the story. It's just the name branding aspect has kind of thrown me for a loop a bit. And I find it a bit funny because I've previously had some conspiracies about how there might be hidden ads in some of these stories, like for sports betting, for Dutch ovens, or just for other things in general. But still, benefit of the doubt that this is real, OP definitely has some justified feelings about this whole event. And yeah, it sucks to have pretty much every single family memory about Christmas now tainted because of your father's affair partner. Like every happy memory that you had at that cabin now has that stupid, ridiculous taint of his affair partner and all her shit being there where it shouldn't belong. And that just kind of sucks. OP's feelings are definitely justified, and I definitely joke about the whole Dutch oven thing, but still. It's not fun to have almost every childhood memory that you're fond of tainted by your father's actions, and this mistress that he drug into his life and is now self-inserting into yours. So, I get that. Scavenger Bebop. Accidentally made an old man's day at Starbucks, and now I'm weirdly emotional about it. So last Friday morning, I stopped at Starbucks before work, running on autopilot, half dead, just needing caffeine to function. As I was waiting for my order, I noticed this older guy at the self-serve station, looking completely lost. He had one of those reusable cups, just staring at the oat milk like it personally offended him. I hesitated for a sec because, social anxiety. But then I just asked, "Hey, do you need help?" He looked so relieved and admitted he had no idea how the whole milk and syrup situation worked. Apparently, his wife used to make his coffee every morning before she passed, and now he's trying to figure out how to make it taste right, but can never get it the same. That alone kinda punched me in the chest, so I walked him through it. 2 pumps of vanilla, a little oat milk, and a stir. He said because she always stirred it 3 times. Little crying ASCII character. He took a sip, smiled, and went, "You just saved me $4. This tastes better than what they make behind the counter." Then he patted me on the shoulder like I'd fixed his whole life. I know it was such a tiny thing, but I've been thinking about it all day. Like, one day the person who knows exactly how you like your coffee might not be there anymore, and that's just life? I don't know why this wrecked me on 8 a.m. on a Friday, but here we are. Anyway, I just needed to put this somewhere. Hope he enjoys his coffee tomorrow. I figured that including a post like this, while sad, also has a nice, wholesome vibe to it would be nice, because we don't really get to cover stories like this on this channel, and usually it's just ones that make you angry, upset, or sad, or stressed out, so hope this makes things just a little bit easier on the mind. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those 2 are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.